I've said my piece, my little rant. Let's bring in Victor Davis Hanson, Hoover Institution Senior Fellow. Victor, it's great to see you. Victor, there's a lot that I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about foreign policy. I want to talk to you about tougher on Russia. But I just want to insert this business. You know, it occurred to me at one of the shows this morning. And if you're saying that we can only grow at 1.5% or 1.8%, that's an admission of failure. That means something's got to change. And yet that doesn't happen anymore. And I single out the Fed because they just published their estimates. 1.8%, Victor, for as far as the eye can see. That runs counter to the American experience, except for recent decades. But for our whole history, we did 3 times as good as that, you know? And that means they need to change. And I think that's what has Trump so frustrated about these government agencies, especially the Federal Reserve. Why should we accept second best or third best or fourth best? That's not America.
Yeah, I think Trump's already put a number of initiatives that are in progress, and he thinks that by the time of the midterms they're going to bear fruit. For example, Doug Burgum is leasing oil and gas in a rate we've never seen before. They haven't come into production yet, but he's on track to make us not only the present largest gas and oil producer, but the greatest oil producer by a large margin. And then when you look at Trump has invited in supposedly $10 trillion in foreign investment. Then he rounds up all of these guys that used to not like him in Silicon Valley and spent hundreds of millions of dollars to defeat him. And you look at what they have promised, you know, the Ken Andreessens, the Ben Horowitzes, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Jeff Bezos, they're all investing. And so he's kind of unleashed the floodgates, but we're not really seeing that yet because he just started to do it. And I think it's going to be something like World War II when, you know, 42, 43, we were really starting to gear up, but we weren't really out producing the Axis yet. But by 1945, we had a larger GDP than Germany, Italy, Japan, but also larger than our own allies, the British Empire and the Russians, all put together. And that was, once you start that ball rolling, it's getting up the hill. And I think he's almost at the summit. And then I would expect next year the foreign investment, the energy leases, the deregulation, and the courting of all of these I don't know what you would call them, the Henry Fords of our age, the Thomas Edisons, the Henry Kaisers, the William Knudtsens. He's telling them, I will protect you from European regulation and censorship, but you just have to do one thing. Make money, don't outsource, keep it here, and you're going to have a whole new environment that you've never had before. And I think they're pretty excited about that.
And
I'm kind of confident.
No, I think it's going to work. I just think he doesn't want a bunch of monetary bureaucrats to stand in his way. He doesn't want any bureaucrats to stand in his way. And he doesn't want any activist judges to stand in his way. You've written about that, so have I, so have others. Notice, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Don't tell me, it's like he's saying, don't tell me you won't finance all these new incentives that I've created that will open up growth and provide opportunities for the whole country. You know, doesn't matter what color, what religion, what age group, for the entire country. Don't stand in my way. I mean, he's a growth guy, and that's fabulous. We can't live with less than 2% growth. It's like this iron bar holding us down from a bunch of PhD monetary bureaucrats. And they don't know better because their results are terrible.
Yeah, I think his real plan, I think, is he's trying to substitute class, middle class interest for race. And he's basically telling the Latino truck driver, the black carpenter, the white manufacturer guy on the assembly line, I'm going to make you all prosperous and you're going to have more in common with each other based on your shared interest as a powerful middle class, an American productive class, than you do differences because of your superficial appearances. And that's what's really frightened the left, because he got record numbers of Hispanic males and black males. And never any Republican had done that. And it was this idea that we're going to make you all rich in the middle, not rich, but prosperous, and you're going to have a lot of things in common. And your superficial appearance will be rendered irrelevant because we're going to get you the ability to buy cars and houses and good jobs. And I think it's a very nationalist, patriotic message that's inclusive.
You know what it's like sometimes? It feels like, Donald Trump, by the way, he loves to build buildings. He also loves factories. He loves to build factories. It's like he's kind of saying, don't you stop me from building these factories. Federal Reserve Board or whatever else, don't you stop me. Don't you dare stop me with your high interest rates from building these factories. I should have put that in the riff. He loves buildings, he loves factories, and he wants interest rates to finance it. Anyway, that was just kind of like my little riff and rant. I figured you'd pick up. Now, Victor, this is very dull after my great opening about growth, but we should go to the United Nations, you and I, just for a few moments. Mr. Trump gave them a piece of his mind, how crazy climate change is a con job and how open borders are destroying all these countries. And, of course, he was right. Nobody would tell the truth like that. I mean, it was a fabulous trip. But I want to ask you this. I was surprised, and I want to get your take on foreign policy. He was very aggressive towards Russia. And he said, I guess, two things, Victor. One is he was saying, if Russia flies over Poland or the Baltics or other NATO countries, those countries should knock down those planes or those drones. That's one thing. And that Ukraine should be able to recapture all of their lost territory from the war. Were you surprised? And how do you see it strategically?
I was surprised, but I think he's trying to say, let no one say I didn't give Putin a chance. I bent over backwards. I wasn't his poodle or asset. I was trying to give him a chance to get out of a disaster that he created. But the problem is that Ukraine doesn't have the area, the population, or the GDP, nor do the Europeans, to go back and take all this in a really bloody offensive. They tried that in 2023, and it was a disaster. So what they can do is what they're doing now is very slowly creating defensive lines and bleeding out the Russians. And they're doing a very good job. But if they were to go on the offensive in this war of drones and obstacles, I don't think it would work, and they don't have the manpower to do it. I'd much rather see them, just hold fast and wear out Putin. Let him be the offensive where all the casualties. There's a magic line, Larry, somewhere where there will be a DMZ, and we don't know where that is, but it's somewhere close now where Putin will go back to the oligarchs and the military class and said, I got 100 miles, 50 miles, 80 miles, 110 of additional territory from where I started, and therefore it was worth 1.5 million Russian dead, missing, and captured. And he doesn't think he's there yet. I think he's not there yet because this was a colossal blunder on his part, and there's a lot of people angry about him. So he thinks he's basically telling us, I don't have enough territory yet to justify my mistake, and I'm going to get it. And so I think all Ukraine should do is rally NATO and arm themselves to the teeth and bleed Russia away. It's like World War I. Passchendaele, the Somme, all of these, Verdun, all of these offensives never worked until the Americans came in with 2 million people and overwhelmed the Germans, or they started to use tanks. But barring a technological breakthrough or a huge input of NATO manpower, and I don't see any of that happening, I would think that Ukraine would bleed itself white if it tried to have a massive offensive, and Russia would welcome that.
But it'd be nice, don't you think? It would be nice if the Europeans, NATO, stopped buying Russian oil. Mr. Trump wants to tariff Russian oil, to make them pay Russia a high price. But somehow or other, European politics always get in the way. Their dependence on Russian oil, which is odd because their dependence on the con job of climate change, which Trump blasted them for, got them into so much economic trouble in the first place.
Yeah, there's still oil and gas on the European Western continent. There's gas in France. There's still oil in the North Sea. There's still retrievable oil and gas if they'll just go after it. And they can go. They canceled the East Med pipeline. Israel, Cyprus, Greece, they were all ready to bring in natural gas right into southern Europe. And Biden, of course, and the Euros cancel it. But they just need the willpower, and I think Trump is trying to, jawbone them into doing that. But it'll take a while. But you can't feed the enemy, is what Trump is saying, and he's right.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, I think if we grow fast the way Reagan grew fast, that intimidated the Russians and the Soviets and Gorbachev. Maybe that would have some impact also. We're on the right track. Victor Davis Hanson, thanks very much for your time. As always, we appreciate your wisdom.
Thank you.